I want a good old boys, Bill, Chris, on the internet one day. Chris said to Neil, let's make a podcast, boy. Come on now, what do you think? Well, what will this podcast be about? Said Neil with a tear in his eye. We got stories that people tell each other from Louisiana Pie to the city of Mumbai. Oh, you mean urban legends. And the podcast was Urban Legends with Neil and Chris. You take care, y'all.
Y'all pretty ladies around the world got a weird tale to tell you, so tell all the boys and girls. Tell your brother, your sister, and your mama too. We're about to start partying and you know just what we do. Hello and welcome to Urban Legend Halloween Special. It's the podcast about urban legends and such things. I am man recently accused of stolen valor, Chris Flynn. And with me, as always, is bibliophile who claims to have read every book in the world, Mr.
Neil Herbert.
Hi, Neil. How's your week been? Been doing a lot of reading?
Yep, never stops.
Never stops. So you've read every book in the world. What's the best book?
I don't care for any of them, to be honest with you.
No, still not got a good one. You keep plugging away.
I'm just trying to find that one entertaining book. They're a bit of a chill, to be honest with you.
No one can write endings, can they?
No, The Hungry Caterpillar wasn't bad.
That's not bad, is it? That's quite.
that was pretty good.
The high watermark.
Yeah.
What's the oldest book ever written in the world? Is it 1984 by George Orwell?
No, it's close. It's close. It was.
There's books older than that.
Yeah,
when they burnt in the Library of Alexandria.
There's a lot of them were, but no, we've still got the Book of Gilgamesh.
Oh, what was that written? Well, that's not really a book, is it? That's more sort of cuneiform. Well,
it was cuneiform on a stone tablet, but it's still a story.
You read those as well?
Still a story. You can buy it in book format nowadays. So yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah, I'm not. I'll do it Kindle, cuneiform stones.
Read it all in original.
Yep.
All in original cuneiform.
Obviously in the original Mesopotamian.
All in original Mesopotamian.
Yeah. You're just not going to get. You're not going to get the the full nuance out of it. Otherwise, it's simply
So what books have you read this week? List them. Pickwick Papers.
Yeah. I read the Pickwick Papers years ago. No, I've not read any Dickens for a while. Yeah, disappointing.
Dickens can't end the story, can he?
No, very long-winded.
Yeah, he uses words and that.
Throw a few more clauses in this sentence, Charles. Tell you what, not very nice to his wife either.
Wasn't he?
He's such a woke lefty cuck. He was he's pretty beastly to his wife.
Often the way, isn't it?
Yeah.
You project the man you want to be.
Not the man you are. Yeah, well, this is true. This is what so hard to separate the art from the artist. Just names and books then.
Dickens, Jackson.
War and Peace, The Gambler by Dostoevsky.
Nice.
Yeah, War and Peace. All right.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. Interminable chapters about the history of, his theories on history. Do without those.
Did you read From Here to There by Bill Bryson this week?
Yeah. I read all the Bill Bryson stuff.
Yeah,
he's at the moment, isn't he, Bill Bryson? Have I got something on this?
No.
Am I mistaken?
Yeah, he's come out of retirement to do something, but I've forgotten what it was.
Maybe he retired recently. Maybe that's what it is. I'm confusing it.
I like Bill Bryson books. They can be read more than once, which is unusual for books.
Yeah, no.
I don't mean physically. I mean that most books I don't really want to go back and read twice. It's kind of like complete.
In the persona that I'm inhabiting, then I don't like to read twice either. But actually, no, I generally I reread.
Really, you've got time. You've got time to do that.
I don't really have time.
Every book.
But yeah, well, that's just a very fast read. I've got this photographic memory, and I can just, I can read something like, I don't know, The Fall and Decline of the Roman Empire. That takes about 25 minutes to read all 6 volumes.
No, that sounds about right.
8 volumes. So, yeah, or, maybe Charlotte Bronte, that'd be about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like one of her books, or some like one of them Austin things.
So do you have any recommendations to our listener? Not plural.
Maybe try some Steinbeck. He's always good for of Mice and Men. That's one. No matter if you're I'll tell you what's so tricky, Chris. It's kind of like trying to find something that can appeal to a vast audience.
Do you like Of Mice and Men because it reminds you of when you and I have been travelling, and I'm very much a Lenny style character.
Yeah, very much my Lenny. Yeah, I was just waiting for
What are you talking about, George?
I just want to drunk it. Just no. You did pick up a lot of dead mice and things from the floor.
They weren't dead to start with.
They weren't dead to start with, no. Just kept petting them.
It's my terrifyingly crushing hands. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, but that's why we kept having to move
we won't
countries.
Get into the other parallels. Yeah. Fortunately, I don't own a gun. I don't,
No.
Otherwise,
you would have shot me ages ago. Yeah, I'm well aware of that. That's why we do this over Zoom now.
Yeah.
I listened to, which is kind of like reading, but without your eyes. Listened to the audiobook of The Variable Man, which is a sci-fi book by what's his face? Famous sci-fi guy. Completely drawn a blank there.
Asimov.
No, does
Arthur C. Clarke?
No, the one who did do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep and all that kind of stuff.
I wouldn't call him sci-fi so much. Philip K. Dick.
Yes, Philip K. Dick. He's sci-fi.
I kind of thought. Yeah, I mean, I guess he is. It's kind of he just does kind of like real. I don't know. He's kind of like a genre to himself, Philip K. Dick. He's kind of.
Well, I'll bow to your greater knowledge. I consider it sci-fi.
No, I don't know. I've not read all of his stuff. I've read everything I've read by him. Like Ubik, I thought was a real, but he does quite a lot of head fucking novels. But there's something. Yeah, I don't know. I suppose he is sci-fi. I've never really thought of him like that because but he will take it. Yeah, there's something almost Kafkaesque about Philip K. Well, I don't know. He sort of explores ideas, and I think
in a sci-fi setting.
I think though to realise the idea, do you know what I mean? So it'll be
but that's like Ursula Le Guin. She's like it is sci-fi stuff, but she's exploring real worlds.
Parallels
stuff.
with I've read one of those books. I should read more of her. Actually, that was quite good.
Yeah, she's a very good writer. Well, thank you very much for letting us know about books, Neil. As podcast people, most of us can't read, so that's very.
I wouldn't bother learning. To be honest with you, there's very little out there.
Over the next 1,000 years, our eyes will become smaller and smaller, almost like pinholes, so that we can just differentiate between shadows and light, so we don't bump into stuff. But we'll do everything.
We'll end up with very large thumbs for social media.
Orally. Yes,
I can never know how to pronounce that word. Or orally, I think, A-U-R-A. L-O-Y, rather than, orally.
Rather than mouth. Cool.
Well, there you go. That was something.
Yeah. So
I don't know what it was, but it was something. So you say you've been accused of stolen valor or something, Chris?
I've been correctly accused of stolen valor.
Correctly or incorrectly? Sorry, I didn't hear that. Correctly. Yeah. Yes. So what? Well,
I was going to a lot of VA hospitals claiming that I'd killed Hitler.
Oh, okay.
I claimed it was me and it wasn't a suicide.
Fairly commonly known that he killed himself, isn't it?
Well, that's what the government want you to think. Well, that's what I was saying. But
80 years ago, I mean, you look no more than 70.
That's because I was part of a secret super soldier plan.
Oh, really? Was time travel involved as well?
There was no time travel. No, I've just been.
You're 100 years old.
I've just been resting in a glacier, like you do. Just been having a nice rest in a glacier until I was needed again, which is now.
So
I'm being sent off to Putin.
So you've taken the plot of Captain America cartoon.
Captain America. I combined that with them finding mammals in ice sheets, and added a few flourishes, and then demanded free drinks.
I was wondering what the profit was. The profit motive was free drinks.
Free drinks.
Free drink. So much a free drink.
Free prescription medicine. that kind of stuff. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did get some free drinks. Yeah.
But somebody believed you'd killed Hitler.
Well, no, I didn't. They weren't. So I got free drinks to the extent that people threw drinks at me.
Okay, yeah.
But they were. I mean, I got.
You managed to swallow some of it, so you consider that a win.
I managed to suck quite a lot out of my
clothes afterwards.
my ill-fitting, bought off eBay army uniform. I managed to suck some of the liquid out.
Hot pink khaki fatigues with the short shorts.
Yeah, the arseless khaki fatigues. Yeah, I got it secondhand from a stripper.
Yeah, it was kind of like hot cops, but like hot military instead.
It was, yeah. I mean, there are a lot of reasons why these hardened military men threw drinks over me.
Is it wise to sort of target the military for this sort of thing? I mean,
well, I just assumed because they've got the pension, they've got the money.
Yeah.
And I would assume that, the thing with military discipline, as anyone who has ever lived in a town near a military base, is they're really instilled with discipline, so they don't go round like punching people in the town or stuff when they have a few drinks, because they're really disciplined. So I assumed that discipline would mean that it's probably the safest place for me to go because of the discipline. The
discipline, yeah.
Because of the very, very disciplined.
Ruthless self-discipline, yeah.
That absolute discipline, which means that I absolutely don't know a load of people who lived in Colchester when they were growing up, which is near a barracks, and because they dressed slightly rock and roll when they were like 14 squaddies used to kick the shit out of them. Because of the discipline, Neil.
Well, I'd like to thank those squaddies for their service.
You know one of them. You can like Krista Banks and stuff.
Oh, really?
That's why they left. That's why they left Colchester, yeah. Him and all his mates as soon as they could, because they just used to get kicked in by squaddies. It's a nice story, isn't it?
Yeah, that's good, yeah.
Tax-funded meetings.
I think sometimes growing up in Brighton, you don't really, I think you take for granted being able to dress how you like.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, that is true. Which is why you're currently wearing your Winnie the Pooh outfit again.
Oh, yeah.
But lots of glitter.
I happen to like honey. I've got many uses for it.
I bet you do.
Yeah.
Saucy.
It attracts all sorts of things. So
is that Winnie the Pooh outfit your Halloween outfit? Being as I've just remembered this is a Halloween special.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'll pair it up with like a kitchen knife and pour some fake blood over it to make it like Winnie the Psychopooh.
What about instead of like him having like marmalade, because he really likes marmalade. Instead of having marmalade, he could have a child's head. No, he could instead of marmalades on toast, he could have like entrails on toast, maybe. Yeah,
it could be a jar just full of entrails.
Yeah, eyeballs.
Good enough for the ancient Romans. It's good enough for Winnie the Pooh, I would have thought.
Yeah, just vinegar and blood.
It's just going to turn it into garum or something. It's fine. Just they happen to be child's intestines, I don't see.
So are you going to be doing any trick or treating tonight? Being as it's Halloween?
The thing is, it's definitely the 31st of October when we're recording this. We're going to go out in town.
Or have you read something which has put you off, Neil? Segue.
Well, that's a good point, Chris.
Why? Why?
Because how I love the Feast of Samhain, and I'd normally get out and about, and one of my favourite things is some delicious candy, Chris, as we call it.
What's candy, Neil?
It's that for our US friends that's what they call sweets, Chris.
Sweets.
Yeah. So we used to have like marathon bars, so when they turned them into Snickers. Yeah. Do you remember that?
I do, yeah. That's why I voted to leave the EU.
Yeah, exactly. That's why we all did a Brexit. Just so fucking furious that marathon bars turned into Snickers.
Changing our names.
Lashing out in the wrong direction, to be fair, but
unfortunately, the right directions to
it's difficult
to defend it. Yeah, they're in a defensible position. So when our American sisters and brothers and other cool people candy ass, they're saying, "Hey, sweet ass."
Yeah. Right? So actually,
they're saying that someone has a nice buttock.
Well, no, yeah. For example,
or buttocks if they have both cheeks intact.
So you will recall of one of those Final Fantasy movies or Fast and the Furious or whatever they're called.
Right, that's
where
very different
Dwayne, very similar in many ways. Dwayne the Rock Johnson called whatever, is it Vin Diesel? He called him a candy ass. Yeah, he was just basically admiring his Botox and saying, he would, that's some sweet candy. And there's something to munch
Get
on
out of
down
my
there.
dreams and into my car.
That wasn't a feud at all. They were just, it was just some.
Get on the back, baby.
Just showing they were kind of,
Are the Fast and Furious films homoerotic?
The thing, I would say any of those kind of like 80s influenced.
No more so than
just like any typical action. They're all quite homoerotic, aren't they? It's just like a bunch of manly men kind of. You can read whatever subtext you want into it, can't you?
Yeah,
I think that's
exactly.
quite good. It's like a David Lynch movie, Chris. You can.
It's very Lynchian. The Fast and Furious franchise.
That's
what everyone always says, don't they?
I hadn't appreciated this, but I remember somebody saying Mulholland Drive, and they thought it was about sort of gay identity. Oh, that was good that they could read that into it. I'd read in something different, but it's nice that people can bring their own interpretation. And I think it's very much like the Fast and Furious movies. So I think that
and like when people
it's got a real Brokeback Mountain vibe going all the way through it.
When people furiously debate online Bert and Ernie, the nature of two puppets, Bert and Ernie's relationship.
Oh yeah, they're just a couple of bachelors living together. Read into it whatever you like. Same with these manly men just beating each other up constantly.
Yeah.
Glistening.
So Neil,
there's let's just say there's evidence there if you want to read that into the text.
You can read anything into anything you want.
Exactly.
Which, really is what
if you enjoy the movie better on that, then why not?
And, based 71 or 2 episodes into this podcast, that really is the crux of the message we're trying to portray. You can read into anything you want.
I mean, I think, that last Fast and the Furious movie where Vin Diesel was giving The Rock a blowjob while Helen Mirren was looking on approvingly and applauding. Now, I mean, obviously you can read into that whatever you like, but...
Well, that's just a power play.
Yeah.
It's just a power. That's just to prove who
he had
man
to
is.
Suck the poison out because he'd been poisoned by a snake, didn't he? So that was
if he poisoned by desire.
Yeah. So obviously they weren't necessarily because I think that's to get through the census because notoriously the American. It's a bit like some British sense. Well, yeah, prudish about fine with violence, but anything equating to sex can't have that.
Yeah, can't have it. No, I noticed we've had our first listen from someone in Hollywood, which is true. Do you reckon that Jerry Bruckheimer and he's thinking of buying the rights to our podcast to make a Goonies-style film?
More than welcome, if so.
Because I can imagine the characters. You'd be like we'd be like in high school, like what do they call the older bit of high school when you're like 16 or something?
That is high school, isn't it?
Freshman, they've got all freshmen. And all
no, in university, you've got freshman year, sophomore year, and
okay. So picture this. Picture the scene.
Yeah,
it's the summer before we go to university. You're obviously like, really like clever science guy. I'm the cool dude with the, with a jacket on, like a leather jacket.
Yeah.
Somehow we're friends from childhood. People don't understand our friendship because we cross that jock geek boundary, right?
Yeah.
That's how I'm seeing it so far.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was waiting for the twist. Sorry.
No, and then you find using science and math and the internet, some kind of urban legend, and then we go and, like a Stephen King like standby meeting, we go and decide to check it out. Me on my like mini moto, like those little motorbikes which American kids have, which we don't have over here. And you've got, I don't know, like your sister's bike with a basket on the front, and
nice, like ringy little bell.
Yeah,
those little streamers.
It's got your books in the front.
Yeah,
and
you never know when you might need them.
Your mum putting your anorak on. Mum.
Got those gloves with attached by string. Just keep referring to the velocity of light is.
I've got one of those flick combs, like a flick knife, but it's a comb. And then we go and
find a Rougarou who wins the All-State Championship with the final field goal.
Wins the Nobel Peace Prize.
Yes, and the Nobel Peace Prize. He is both a jock and a geek, and therefore brings all of geek and jock kind together.
So I'm thinking that this could kind of be
maybe if you worked as hard on your field goals as you did on your math, or maybe if you worked on your physics hard as you did your field goals,
hard as you did on your quiff.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I reckon so. That could be a film or a franchise of films, or it could be a series, which I feel will replace the whole Left by Supernatural. You know, kind of in that Stranger Things sort of retro.
I think it could be both. I think it can be. I think this is the new Star Wars, to be honest with you.
Yes, so do I. Really, I'm
this is the franchise to end all franchises. Let's get George R. Martin
to end all franchises. They're going to go. We can't do any franchises after.
I think we've got a treatment. Let's get.
We've reached a logical conclusion.
Let's get that Game of Thrones guy to stop pretending to write that book, and he can write the first three or something.
George R. Martin.
Yeah. And we get George Lucas out as well. He's not he doesn't do any Star Wars.
But the more people you're adding, the less points on the back end I'm seeing us getting now. So
well, no, we just.
I think we get Ron Howard to direct, and then we'll get an algorithm to write the script.
Yeah, fair enough. In the style of yeah.
Yeah,
because you can get those AI things now that do paintings for you. So I'm sure you can get one that will write a script like Game of Thrones.
What, the ones that accurately
with a Rougarou?
The ones that accurately portray the images that are in my mind.
Yes. Yeah.
Geiger-esque images in my mind.
What's that movie with J-Lo? It was like a serial killer.
Something Like It Up?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Jack Lemmon, J-Lo, and
Robbie Coltrane.
Robbie Coltrane and Robbie Williams. Oh, you heard the news about Robbie Coltrane?
Yeah, he's dead.
I like Robbie Coltrane. I was on the Coltrane.
Oh dear.
He was 72, so it's not a bad innings, I suppose, as we say.
It's quite a bad innings.
It's reasonably young, yeah. Well, it's above your 3 score and 10, isn't it? But yeah, it's not. Well, that was the biblical length of life, wasn't it?
We're not. Why are you basing? Oh, God, now. Why are we back to this? You basing your insurance calculations for the stock market on biblical.
There's no point in actuaries doing any of that actuarial science.
This is why
the Bible has clearly laid out. The Bible has clearly laid out what the preordained scope of life is.
This is why pension
and then you factor in how much sinning someone has done. Find out how early they'll die.
And how much they'll. Well, it depends, because if they were wealthy, then they could have just paid.
Oh, no, that's fine, because as Jesus said, the wealthy man can enter into the kingdom of heaven as easy as a camel going backwards through the eye of an eagle or something. Yeah.
What was it you used to call that? Paying the church to do some sin.
Paying the Jesus tax.
The Jesus tax, yeah. Wink, wink.
The rich man's back door to heaven.
Yeah, that's all right, isn't it? You're always, as all rich men have always built a back door because they're all tech bros.
Yes.
Always built a back door.
If you think about it, God is an algorithm. In many ways.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, not very hard, absolutely.
Look, if modern Iron Man, Elon Musk tweeted that just now, about 3 million people would consider that really carefully and go, well, do you know, actually, it's got a really good point. And there'd be an unsufferable 7-page article in fucking, I don't know, New York Times or something.
Yeah. He certainly is the idiot's genius.
Or the genius of the idiot, who knows?
I was having a nice time. Why did you have to bring him up? So, good news on Alex Jones, though.
I mean, yeah, I like the fact that he's been, was it close to $1 billion or whatever? But yeah, but he's done apologising, Chris.
He's not. He's just asking questions.
He's done apologising. Why should he? I don't think he's got anything to apologise for.
Considering throughout the trial, every day he goes on and basically,
how many of us haven't harassed families of dead children? In our time. Let he who is without the let he
Neil,
who has not harassed the load of innocent victims of
Neil, you're so
school shootings cast the first stone. That's what I say.
What dead children?
Yeah,
they were actors.
Sorry, Chris. We now realise, as Alex has said himself, it was just it's a bit of satire, wasn't it? He was playing a character. He did in court. No, he did in court. He said, I was just playing a character. I admit that they did all get killed, but I was just sort of, just playing a character, just some wacky hijinks. That was his defence, I believe. It obviously didn't pan out particularly well because
he said that on the original. I'm not sure he said it on this one.
I don't know which one he said it on. But anyway,
he's just doubling down now.
Now he's just screaming on his stupid channel, isn't he? And asking for more. We're selling dick pills and intelligence pills.
Yeah, intelligence pills. Yeah.
An intelligence pill that makes your dick hard and also grow at the same time. Yeah, because only the smart, and
it also grows back, so you can use it for survival food. Yeah.
Only the smartest, the most insecure people should come along to my website. He's just a real carnival barker, isn't he?
Got into the podcast Knowledge Fight, which is sort of two comedians. They were doing like a podcast about Alex Jones because of that, like just sort of what the fuck is this guy taking the piss? But it's been going on for about 6 years, so they've been there for the whole. Like him getting.
Well, he's been going on since the 90s. I remember him hanging around with Bill Hicks and stuff. Yeah, he was on a John Ronson thing. He did the thing where they went up to what's it called, the crematorium of
Bohemian Grove.
Bohemian Grove, that's it. And but I remember him back when Waco happened. That was where he kind of started. Him and Bill Hicks.
Yeah, it was very early days of the internet stuff, and these conspiracies came out, and he was kind of. A lot of them were really kind of boring and slightly sort of dry and sort of almost kind of I very much don't like sort of. They kind of appeared sort of academic, which obviously they're not because they're talking nonsense. But they're kind of very like, and then you can see here that if this was going to happen, and that, and then he comes out and he's all bombastic.
He combined that with professional wrestling presentation technique. Yeah, that's what the world needed. And that's what the world got.
The only reason I brought that up is because I'm trying to get a guest slot on Knowledge Fight. So,
okay. Well, good luck with that.
Well, I've got to do something.
If one of our 6 listeners is on that podcast,
Hollywood listeners. Cool. All right. So, Neil, back to the matter at hand. Halloween, ghost time. The veil slips. The
veil slips between this world and the other world on the Feast of Samhain.
On the netherworld.
But you're going to be feasting on evil. Because...
All right. Well, that was the most sexual thing you've ever said.
Because...
Why did you wink when you said that?
I didn't. Because somebody's mucking around. So, your kid's going out. Innocent bit of Halloween fun, yeah, Chris? Just going out, a bit of trick-or-treating, yeah? Go and get some free candy.
Go around, annoy the neighbours, demand free stuff.
No, this is the land of the free, Chris, where everyone loves giving out a bit of free candy. Well, sounds a bit socialist now, come to think of it.
That sounds socialist, doesn't it?
Oh, I think just close this right the fuck down. Get on the porch and just fire a gun in the air. And any more socialism around here? Stuff. No, it's an opportunity to all go around, have a bit of fun, dress up, and get some sweets, some candy from the neighbours, and everyone's having a bit of fun on the, not being aware of the true evil nature of the Feast of Samhain. Well, no. So, but some people, Chris, they can't just enjoy a bit of harmless fun.
It's weird that people attacked the Imagination board, tabletop board game, Dungeons and Dragons during the Satanic Panic, and not the entire act of Halloween.
Well, that's fine because they like doing that, didn't they?
Oh, yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah,
I understand that.
Well, because see what you're forgetting, Chris, is that's good, healthy, all-American activity.
It's you go
out, you go out, you meet lots of the neighbours, and you eat lots of fattening sweets. Whereas sitting in a dungeon, with long hair, long greasy hair, talking about demogorgons,
listening
some other ne'er-do-wells, listening to heavy metal.
Frankie says, Frankie goes to Hollywood, that kind of thing.
Something like that, yeah. or Boy George, or I don't know. I don't know.
Is it a man? Is he a woman?
Who can
You can
say?
tell. The veil slipped.
Yeah, I'm sure Reagan had something to say about that.
Yeah, but it wasn't coherent.
No. We had Alzheimer's quite early on in this presidency, to be fair. Didn't stop him from being the greatest of all time, of course.
No, of course, go.
The Gipper. But, so some of us, I wouldn't know. Some people can't let people just have an innocent little bit of fun, can they? No. So I
know I can't.
No. Well, I could imagine you. So it's one of three things that's going to happen. You're going to end up putting either a poisoning the sweets or candy, or putting razor blades into them, or needles, or broken glass, or possibly drugs. These seems to boil down into sort of these three different categories.
So is our urban legend tonight the tainting?
The tainting of Halloween candy. Yeah.
Oh. Well, I've heard speak of such, but on TV shows, not sort of around my neighbourhood.
Well, it doesn't really happen so much in the UK, but in the US, there's very real paranoia around this. So I'll refer you to. I'm just going to find out this chap's name. I think he's the district attorney.
What's wrong with taking free food off your neighbours who hate you, who you've spent all year annoying? Well,
you're very much assuming that they've been annoying these people. I mean, I guess if you didn't,
I've had neighbours.
Yeah, fair enough.
Community, what's that all about? No such thing.
Right. So this chap's name, Matt Platkin. He's the Attorney General of the state of New Jersey. He gave us a Twitter warning to look out for. I think this was back in 2017. Parents, check Halloween candy for marijuana-infused candy.
So they were giving out edibles to kids.
It looks like it, yeah.
Or someone said, "Oh, I wonder if someone could do that," and then so he went, "Right, let's ratchet up the fear."
Well, absolutely. So, overview: there is a significant presence of marijuana candy and other edible forms in New Jersey and nearby states. This poses a great risk to users, especially children who may accidentally receive marijuana during Halloween. It's illegal in New Jersey, Chris. It's got THC in it.
Yeah.
And it often imitates hard or gummy candy and chocolate. You should be on the lookout for unusual candy. Go on.
I'm going to be honest with you. The children aren't going to be mistakenly given it. Like you said,
do you not think?
No, I think if someone.
Do you think the Attorney General is just gonna send out a tweet?
No, I think that if the kids were
the great state of New Jersey,
I think if the kids were receiving it, it's because someone ill-advisedly thought it would be funny to get kids stoned. I don't think they mistakenly went, "Oh, I was meant to give them Haribo, but I gave them my really expensive."
Yeah. It's quite generous, isn't it, of the person? Not that you should be giving out free drugs to kids, unless they ask for it, of course. In which case,
unless they ask for it or they deserve it,
Oh yeah, no, they've been especially good this year.
or they're like
Timmy got today.
Timmy got today.
Timmy's having an edible. Yeah. Well, they've got what I assume.
I'll tell you what, I bet parents do though, because you know how kids are annoying and don't shut up and go to sleep when you click your fingers. A lot of parents give kids like Calpol because it knocks them out.
Yeah,
so they're basically sort of medicating the kids. Or in the old days, they used to give them a nice little nip of booze. Yeah. I reckon some parents probably give them like a half edible or something just to get them to go to sleep.
Tone them down.
I would be interested to know the facts and figures on that. Or am I actually just adding to the scaremongering?
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? Yeah, well, it'd be like, or the other way around, like when they wanted Judy Garland to be in the.
If you really wanted kind of to have a glass, busy day, you just want to sit down and have one or two bottles of wine and watch Grey's Anatomy, and your kids running around, you'd be tempted just to. Here you go, have a little bit sweet.
Oh, a bit tired.
Night.
That seems perfectly reasonable to me. Or, on the other way around, kind of like, as I say, when they wanted Judy Garland to star in was it Wizard of Oz, you know, she'd get a bit tired, so that's all right. We'll give you some special
speed.
pills, a bit of speed. Yeah,
Give them some military grade sniper speed.
Yeah, some amphetamines that'll keep you acting around the clock.
Yeah, keep you.
Didn't do Judy Garland any harm, did it? Well, apart from the massive psychological trauma, I imagine.
Well, I think that was all child actors in the golden age.
The golden age of cinema,
Hollywood.
Yeah. Well, they were prepared to make a
where they were technically owned by the studio.
And the studio knows best, Chris. You know, this is art. And so they've got a lot of pictures as well
without suffering.
Oh no, exactly. You know, preferably the suffering of all the actors.
Your own suffering.
Oh no, the director shouldn't suffer.
The author, director.
The executive producer shouldn't be suffering. They're quite the opposite. Making money hand over fist. Yeah. That's how art is made. Yes, they've got like a lot of pictures of. So there's things like, I presume it's supposed to be a Kit Kat, but it's called Keith Kat.
Keith
Kat. There's a Butterfinger, and I believe
Keith is in Keith.
Keef, like Keith.
Oh, Keith.
Yeah,
not like Keith. Hello, Keith.
There's an Oreo instead of an Oreo. There's a Butterfinger. I believe Butterfinger is the. I can't read the one, but there's one that obviously looks like a Reese's Pieces.
Butterfinger. I think a butter. Yeah,
it's like a
candy.
It's another one of them candy bars, isn't it? Yeah. Do you know, I never had a candy bar in America once. I went to New York years and years ago. Had a Babe Ruth.
Oh right, was that when your parents were trying to get you on Broadway as a?
Yes.
To try to sign you over to the.
We're trying to sign you up to the New York Yankees.
They're trying to sign you to the Yankees.
Yeah. I had a cracking right arm back in the day. I won't tell you how I built up the speed and muscle thing, just say I was a young teenager. But no, I had a hell of a fastball on me, and yeah. Unfortunately, because of same the activity quickly declined.
You didn't turn up to training very much.
Yeah, just fuck it off. So they got a load of these edibles. Oh, and here we go. There is so if you believe your child has received marijuana candy, immediately contact your local police department. Wear vinyl gloves when handling possible marijuana candy. And thoroughly wash your hands and remove and dispose of the gloves properly to prevent any potential ingestion. Well, no, just eat the edible, really. How paranoid are you got to be, though? You're just like, I mean...
And also, why are you calling the police? Right. So what you're saying is there's no medical issue here. It's like, call the police. Oh, well, shouldn't I call the hospital? Well, I suppose if you've got time.
My child has a Keith Candy in his his little bucket. But we laugh. But in May 2017,
we like to laugh, don't we?
May 2017, a 10-year-old boy from New York was sent to the emergency room after ingesting a marijuana-infused sour gummy candy. He experienced symptoms of nervousness and nausea, Chris. He also thought it was pretty fucking rad. He's got a bit green. It's fine.
He's just got to build up his tolerance.
Just build down your dose. Yeah. Next time, maybe just try a quarter of it. Just chill out and just see how you go. Yeah.
What you'll find with drugs, son,
put on some Grateful Dead.
What you'll find with drugs
sound awful. Then maybe you need a little bit more. Yeah. We'll get that sweet spot. Oh, this is good. Yeah.
Bang on some Hawkwind.
No, do you know what? That was my first Hawkwind gig. I've been to a few. And
I've rarely listened to it. I didn't mind it for sort of
I quite like Hawkwind, but and I was enjoying the gig actually, but they're quite sort of mad and eclectic. But this was back in the Concorde 2 where you could just smoke and actually just everyone was just smoking weed, and then my mate's just like, just have like, take on that.
Suddenly it was good.
No, it's just better. I remember just a vivid sense of, wow, this really makes sense. Oh yeah, absolutely. This is what should be happening. Oh yeah. So yeah, it's oh my god, back to that again. No, just not having that again. Yeah, it's.
You had as we discussed off air. Have you had some electrodes treatment to try and stop you saying oi, oi, oi.
I've wired up my testicles to the mains.
Well, yeah.
Another one. Well, that's what I do on Sunday anyway.
But back to what we were talking about.
That's what we're talking about. I've tried to have aversion therapy. We'll see how well it's lasted.
Mm.
It's fun. I'll edit this one, and we'll cut out any instances of 20s. Oh, maybe I'll just try and introduce some other kind of like old school slang.
Yeah,
I could talk like a like a film noir.
Yeah,
you're
gonna give someone a kick up the bracket.
Hard boiled.
I'm gonna give you a punch up the bracket.
Yeah, some sweet chin music. That's what
you're
getting.
Blast your eyes,
brother. You're looking for some concrete shoes and a concrete overcoat.
Yeah,
and some concrete gloves.
Hat. Yeah. Concrete socks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice concrete belt.
Just
to pair it up with your concrete handbag. Yeah.
You're having some concrete galoshes.
Yeah. Concrete tiara.
Yeah. It doesn't sound as threatening in British, does it? No.
No, it's
a darling look.
You look absolutely wonderful. It's in a nice concrete 3-piece.
Darling, love
concrete
spats.
Waistcoat.
Love the spats. Have you thought about some concrete?
To go with your concrete.
Vivian Westwood says they're all the season.
Nice concrete brogues.
Oh, yes.
Quite the thing for
the man the thing around London town.
Quite the thing around the Soho clubs.
Oh,
you should come to my club in Tavistock Square, where concrete, as far as the eye can see, it really is the to-do thing. I believe it comes from Berlin.
Oh, no. MDF brogues. Oh, dear boy. Those are fundamentally below the salt.
I didn't like to say anything, but I believe that his handkerchief was made of plaster of Paris.
No.
Strike him from the members list.
I see him around here again. I should have him taken outside and horse.
I'll have him thrashed. I'll have him thrashed by my best boy.
Rightly said.
The concrete cane.
What did we get to an opposite? Oh, yeah, we were in drugs. So there's
kids like drugs. Right,
yeah,
that's where we're at. Kids love drugs. Can't keep their hands off.
Can't keep their grubby little hands off them.
Can't do with them, can't do without them.
Basically, you're trying to hide your stash.
Yeah.
There's just kids come breaking into your house on Halloween, just snatching up all your edibles.
Yeah.
And then moaning because they've taken too much.
All your automatic weaponry.
Yeah. Nicking all your Hawkwind albums. You just want to hunker down and have a nice evening. No, because I'm crawling in like a bunch of chuckies. Stealing up all your stash. All your great records.
All your vinyls. Yeah.
You can't even get that anymore in that decent vinyl.
So what was the moral of the tweet? Keep your eye on kids because they're after your Hawkwinds.
Yeah, I think that's what we've established.
That's where it's.
Don't open the door to these kids because they will try and steal your stash.
That's where the chips are falling.
Yeah. So hunker down in the hurricane basement.
Cool. Next story.
Next bits. Yeah.
Well, that's that.
That's drugs. So don't let kids steal your drugs.
Yeah, because they're ungrateful.
Yeah. Well, they're not going to do anything creative, are they? It's not like they're going to direct a great movie or write an amazing album.
What we had to do, get a paper round, save up your money, buy your own drugs.
Yeah.
Kids these days.
Pay your own way.
Exactly.
Ridiculous.
Stealing drugs off your.
Go around begging like some common or garden communists.
Like some panhandlers.
Well, shouldn't we redistribute all of the drugs to everyone so everyone can have a fair share?
Children.
Rather than being a meritocracy like things should be.
Exactly. The thing is, the thing with, I'm fine with them putting up the price of alcohol and drugs and stuff because at the end of the day, people who have good jobs can still afford them. And actually that proves that they can handle them because they can have all the drugs and alcohol and they can still have, still hold down a good job. So, if anything, it's a self-righting mechanism.
Bound to be. Yeah.
Bound to be. How it works.
So the other thing people get up to is hiding razor blades and needles inside candy.
An expensive trick.
Yeah.
Razor blades being much more expensive than just giving them a sweet.
Well, yeah, because you hear about like razor blades in apples and things.
That's why I always say, Neil, if an apple is given to you, that same apple you have to stew. Because if you're given an apple, you should stew it down into sort of apple pulp.
In case there's any worms or razor blades,
needles,
or gummy edibles,
bullets with your name,
etched
name on
them.
The side.
Yeah,
I've had lots of them.
Laced needles. So, yeah, in New Jersey, again, children were reportedly given apples containing razor blades. So in 1968, the New York Times reported 13 cases of children in New Jersey finding razor blades in apples.
Was that from one person? I mean, is that not an easy one to track back?
Well, it doesn't say. Despite the public reaction to these events,
what houses did you go in? Like you just say to them, well, what houses did you go to? And then you find what houses they all went to.
Well, I'll tell you what. This will be a first for this podcast.
Then you go down to the local pharmacy and go. Just one more thing.
I should do some research on the fly. I'll be your virtual Columbo, and I'll come back to these. But hey, there's our first sighting. So 13 cases of children finding razor blades.
Is it true?
There's a site here called Brancos. It's
yes.
This collects a bunch of the things going back to the 50s. So
I thought it was about reggaeton songs.
Sadly not. There's a woman who handed out ant poison to children too old for trick-or-treating.
Well, I mean,
fair enough, to be honest with you.
And also, is ant poison bad for humans? I mean, ants are really small.
Well, wait a second. So in 1964, Long Island resident Helen File...
That's how we got Ant-Man.
How you pronounce that? Well, it could be. That was the original comic version, I believe.
Yeah.
How did he? Was it like invent like a suit or something? Was it?
Yeah.
Particles. I can't remember. I've seen that film, but yeah, would have been better if Edgar Wright had made it. Apparently annoyed by all the children she deemed too old for trick or treating and made special treats for them on Halloween.
It's a lot of work in it, rather than just saying no.
Well, yeah. So on Halloween,
just not answering your door, rather than just going out for the night.
She handed out buttons of arsenic and poison. I imagine that would be pretty bad. Dog biscuits and steel wool pads that she'd wrapped in tin foil.
Steel wool pads? Well, they're not going to eat that.
Well, no. So, I mean, if you're lucky, you just get one of those, you open it up and you go, that's disappointing. Or you swallow some arsenic. So I imagine that would be relatively worse for you. Doctors determined that the ant poison could have been deadly to small children.
But she was only giving it to large children.
Well, that's true. Well, there you go. So they just would have got a sick tummy then. I would have thought,
unless it was
presumably it's very small doses.
Unless it was quite a small older person, because not everyone's. It's not true that everyone grows at the same rate or to the same size, eventual size.
No.
So it could have been like a 60-year-old bloke who was just like really short. Could have killed him.
Could have.
That could have been her husband.
Nobody thinks of that, could it? Maybe she's trying to murder her husband.
Maybe that's what
history is silent on this matter. She had 2 kids of her own, apparently, but she got charged with child endangerment. Pled guilty, although she was adamant she never intended to cause harm.
I mean, putting poison in stuff would probably you probably did need to cause some harm.
Hey, it's trick or treat. Oh. Some get tricked. Some get treats. Hello, Your Honour.
Read the title.
Is it called Tricks Only? Or is it called Treats Only?
Is it called Treat or Treat? No. It's in the Constitution.
I believe there's an amendment somewhere that says I can do this. If not, there should be.
It was one of those really weird ones where they like tack something on to a different amendment. It was like an amendment for
an infrastructure bill or something like that.
It was the Emancipation Proclamation, and tacked onto the end was trick or treats illegal.
So, look, I don't want to be a prick. I don't want to stand in the way of this getting on. Do we really need this clause about being able to serve arsenic to children in small doses? I don't
Halloween.
I don't know what. What's this got to do with? What's this got to do with what?
Well, sir, this is very important to the people of my district. I'm afraid I would not be able, in all good conscience, to put my signature upon said proclamation without the tag on.
Fine, fuck it. You've got to imagine there's a lot of that goes on in the Senate and stuff, isn't there?
An awful lot, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, imagine actually having to listen to a filibuster live. Someone just going on for 20 hours about whatever.
No, I wouldn't be able to. I would leave or attack the person, maybe.
It's bad enough watching, like, Prime Minister's question time.
Yeah, no, I can't watch 10 minutes.
I mean, any length of Parliament at all, it's just like, Jesus Christ.
It's not
dysfunctional fucking debate club.
Slightly, yeah, exactly. It's bizarre that in a modern parliamentary democracy, you've basically got the same setup as they have for like that they do as spotty teenagers at a debate club at fucking Oxbridge. I mean, it's almost like they're not necessarily the right people. Anyway, no politics.
No. This is a fun Halloween episode where we're talking about poisoning kids.
Yeah, razor blades.
Yeah. So there's in 1974, Timothy O'Brien's death became a national news story after the 8-year-old boy was poisoned by cyanide-laced pixie sticks. So there's another one. We'll come back, Tom. We're doing some research to find out about the validity of these, but I think that's a true story. An Ohio boy found a razor blade in a Snickers bar. This is in 2015, so it's a bit more recent. He was biting into a Snickers bar, so he should have been, but stopped when something didn't feel right. I'll tell you what that was. Right. It doesn't say what his name is, young man. It should have been called a marathon bar. That's what didn't feel right.
It was you who did it, wasn't it? It was disgruntled Brits.
Should have more peanuts, and it should have been called a marathon. That's what didn't feel right. And what that happened? No, it turned out to be a disposable razor, which was shoved into the nougat.
Nougat.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that was, if Mars just decided to start doing that instead of a job lot of disposable razors. They didn't know what to do. Well, if you put it in the nougat, because that,
yeah, that's the slightly less nougat we have to use. Yeah, because we have to reach a certain weight for each bar, and we've actually
that'll shave a third of a cent off of each bar, and then come the end of the year, cha-ching. Give it a go. Let's
see what happens. Let's see. Look, the thing is, we've had to pay $3 million out in damages, but the third of a bar, the third of
that saved us $6 million.
So we're actually up.
Yeah,
that's fine.
We won't do it again, but all round success.
Well, we won't do exactly the same thing.
Won't do exactly no. We'll just make sure we crush. Make sure we crush up the disposable bits first. Yeah. into undetectable size pieces. Then there's a dentist who handed out laxatives to neighbourhood kids in 1959.
I've got a job block of asbestos. Right, get it in the nougat.
Make sure we shave it down properly first this time.
Grind it this time. Grind it. No one will know.
Oh, this nougat's sour.
this nougat's hurting my lungs.
Throat shedding. Yeah.
What's the stuff called which... It's like plastic fibres that you can shape it, or people used to use it as insulation.
Fiberglass, I think you mean.
Okay, get some of that in the mix.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah, replace the peanuts with fiberglass. Yeah.
You got to try new recipes.
Look,
just call it Snickers Max.
People want a delicious hit of Snickers at a certain price point, but unfortunately the ingredients prices are going up, so we're having to come up with some creative solutions so that it doesn't hit your wallet.
Well, shrinkflation can only take you so far. Everything's already become fun-sized. So what can we do next? We just fill it with like toxic waste.
That's such a fucking misnomer, isn't it? Fun. So less is more fun. I'm not sure I'd buy that.
Just the lessening your chance of getting diabetes is fun. I'm not sure.
Maybe, yeah, I guess so.
We'll call it fun, but
one man's fun is another man's freedom fire.
Although it depends where you take it, because I do quite like I do Cadbury Celebrations.
Yeah,
Because you can have because I mean, like a whole Mars bar is far too sickly.
I'll quite happily eat a whole Snickers provided it's got fiberglass.
A Snickers I probably could because it's kind of like got peanuts in.
Yeah, it's got peanuts. It's basically a health food. It's basically it's a taste of the East.
But no, like the little, the tiny little celebrations ones. I quite like those because you can have multiple different ones. That's good.
That's good. Well, I know what to get you for Christmas.
Apparently so. Yeah. I mean, I'll go with a bit of hotel chocolat as well, to be honest with you. But sometimes you like something.
My wallet, you won't.
Nice bit of overpriced chocolate.
Thornton's at best.
I thought I'll go with a bit of Thornton's. So,
is this now what chocolate Neil likes podcast? I thought that was a spin-off. Are you laying out?
This is a backdoor pilot for Sweet Like Candy, the Neil Herbert chocolate podcast.
The Neil Herbert chocolate and NFT podcast.
Yeah.
Where you sell lazy Neils and discuss chocolate.
Yeah. And you can, each episode can have an NFT attached, which you can buy for the low price of 23 Ethereum or an edible, whichever.
Was it Neil Ethereum? Was that the name of yours?
Yes, that's my coin.
Yeah,
I tell you, it can only go up.
I heard that someone donated 8 million in Neil Ethereum to Alex Jones's defence team. Was that you?
Yeah, well, I'm trying to bankrupt him because it'll be worth negative. It's worth negative money at the moment, and it's getting. you actually owe the bank money, or you owe the world money somehow.
It's in your account.
Yeah, just using a special blockchain technology that
it's called black hole blockchain.
Empties your real world bank account. The more of it you have, the less real money you have.
But on paper, you're a Neil Ethereum millionaire.
Well, that's the point, though, isn't it?
Look,
you can strut around like a billionaire.
Look, just keep believing, guys. Like the more you put into Neil Ethereum, the more you'll have. We're currently talking with lots of different partners for places you'll be able to spend your Neil Ethereum to be announced. Like, look for our next meeting in 6 months. We will have all these great brands ready for you to spend your Neil Ethereum. You'll be able to retire. One week later,
listen.
Neil Herbert disappears.
No doubt, as soon as the UK, government starts growing again, which is any second now.
Well, didn't Kwasi Kwarteng say that he was going to plough 800 billion into Neil Ethereum because he felt it was a growth market? Yeah.
Right. That was how we make the pie get bigger. Because that's the thing that happens, isn't it? Pies grow. In the magical world of economics.
Yeah, the problem
it's a growing pie.
Yeah, but the problem is when
if you eat your pie now, Chris, you're full today. But if you'd left that pie to grow,
you're too full.
To grow for a month,
if you put the pie up,
you would have a lifetime's worth of pie. Yeah.
I think the problem with that metaphor is it also works quite nicely because 1% of the population get the pie, and then the rest of us just get like a bit of the crust.
Yeah.
So that's also probably shouldn't use the pie metaphor.
You get a look at the pie.
Yeah.
You get a whiff of steam like the Bisto kids. You might get a smell of the pie. If you're lucky.
You have to you get none of the pie. You have to clean out the pie dish.
Yeah.
Which you have to fight to do.
So there's a whole. I mean, I'm not going to go through all of these actually.
You've been through two.
They're all pretty much razor in a sealed M&M's bag. Again, is that you question whether they're just trying out a new product? Suing needles found in candy.
What we've realised is a lot of the people who are buying M&M's are actually around 13, which is when boys start to have to shave. So we're going to start putting a free razor blade.
Yeah. Perfectly reasonable as far as I'm concerned. Strange pills in candy. So the Royal Canadian
inside. What's the name of the very famous American like cake thing? The Twinkies.
Oh yeah.
And inside, so what we're going to do is we're going to put 3 razors inside M&Ms, and we're going to replace the cream filling in Twinkies with shaving foam. So
nice.
for the lads,
It's chemically very similar already, actually. So that's not.
Yeah,
just add a little bit less sugar to it.
It's got slightly less sugar. Yeah,
it's got less corn syrup in it, so it's actually healthier as well. After that sugar tax,
it's not too very good.
Yeah. You can mop it up with that delicious sponge afterwards.
Yep.
Finish your shave.
Flown all the way from Calaminos.
Let's have a look. So, Mounted Police in Alberta in 2015 reported at least 2 children discovered pills in the candy. One found an entire blister pack, and a second found a pill-stamped APO inside of a Snickers bar that had been opened when the sticker was sealed.
How do you find an entire blister pack?
It's a stamp of, yes.
I mean, that's just lazy. Like, don't even, I can't bother taking the pills out. Just put it on packing. Yeah. What are these? Oh, they're hormone treatment pills. Give it to the kiddies.
He'd run out, and it's just like, let's go.
that kid looks like he could use some more hormones.
Yeah. He's probably got rickets.
He always comes last at sports day.
More razor blades in candy. One filled with needles. And someone got a bottle of Dramamine in a 5-year-old's candy bag. It was open.
There you go. I haven't got anything in here. That's some Dramamine. I completely forgot it. It was Halloween. I haven't got any sweets.
You can have a Snickers, you can have a Reese's Pieces, and you can have 6 Dramamine.
Yeah, you can have a potato.
You look like you've had a hard day. So I don't know how many of these are verified. It does look like there have been some. I mean, there have been some reports, so it's not all completely.
Well, I mean, it's kind of.
Well, some of it is. I mean,
depending on what your feelings are towards human beings, it's actually it's a surprisingly low number if you think about how many potential incidents there could be. It's actually not that many, really. No,
and actually, a lot of these they've found out afterwards that
it's quite heartwarming, isn't it? That there's only been 17 cases of razor blades in candy.
We'll share some of the heartwarming ones, because a lot of the razor blade ones actually they were unverified. So like the New Jersey one in '68, where they're reporting all of these kids finding razor blades in apples. They did some detailed studies and determined most of the claims were actually false.
Yeah, of course.
The children had put the razors in the apples themselves to propagate the urban legend, but not all of them could be written up as hoaxes. But there are.
Do you know what? Those kids need a bit of THC to chill out.
Yeah, exactly. So if they'd only given them some edibles, then it's.
Yeah, they wouldn't be going around putting razor blades in their own apples.
Well, because they're probably doing a Columbine 10 years later. You start off hiding razor blades in your own.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a great. I'd put that as maybe a pink flag.
It's all a bit something about Kevin, isn't it? I don't know how we put this, but I think a kid's going to become a bit of a future serial killer. I don't know how you deal with that, but you suddenly find out that you're. Let's just say that the neighbourhood pets are disappearing with alarming frequency. So, and we go back as well. So we talked about the case in 1974 when an 8-year-old, Timothy O'Brien from Texas, died after eating Halloween candy laced with cyanide. So what do you think caused that, Chris? Just a random stranger. This is the kid who died after eating Halloween candy laced with cyanide.
So how did he eat the cyanide? Or how did the cyanide
where do you think
get
it
on
came
the candy?
From? Yeah.
I mean, it's always their own house, isn't it?
Yep. Police eventually discovered the culprit was a child's father who had poisoned his son in order to claim life insurance money.
Oh my God, that's low. I used to do quality assurance calls for life insurance place or like an accident insurance place.
Yeah.
And the amount of stuff that they have to make, that they have to say that the policy doesn't cover X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
And you kind of go, oh, why is that? And they're like, well, unfortunately, because people break their kids on for the money. Like, so you can't cover them for that kind of stuff. It has to be like cancer and those kind of things. Accident, you can't get accident cover for kids because
you literally people beating their kids and stuff.
Well, because people are financially incentivized to cause harm to their child. Then
it's awful.
And I don't know.
So Ronald Clark O'Brien was this arsehole's name, who they nicknamed the Candy Man. I suspect they had some slightly more stringent names for him inside. But yeah, he got executed for murder in 1984. So yeah, good.
The Candy Man can.
It's a bit of a whimsical name, isn't it?
The Candy Man can. Who can make the sun rise?
Insurance
run, Charlie, run all the way home.
We don't know. He might have had 5 other kids he needed to pay for.
Yeah.
It's like,
I'm
sorry, little Timmy, you're not cutting it.
You're right, Neil.
You're a C grade student at best.
You're right.
This harsh Darwinian hellscape that we're inhabiting.
I got on his back too quickly there. Yeah. I was reactionary. Yeah. I really need to know more facts before I can judge the man for killing his own kid for money.
Yeah, so, I mean, basically it looks like a mixture of, I mean, by and large, people say that the likelihood of this actually happening is incredibly small. There's a few verified cases.
Neil, it's like being struck by lightning whilst being eaten by a shark.
Indeed. And to be honest with you, where they verify some of them, it generally turns out to be, either just a nutcase or somebody, very low thing, or somebody, as you say, within their own sort of family.
Excellent.
Sorry to say.
So is that making you more comfortable about going trick-or-treat? None of them, there hasn't been any reported in the UK.
No, I haven't seen any in the UK. I mean, to be honest with you, actually now more, I could do with a re-up of Dramamine, so I'm definitely going to get
a few edibles and make a night of it.
Beautiful.
Have you still got any of those bath salts left I gave you?
No, all out.
Oh, God, fucking hell.
5 minutes worth, I know.
What? I gave you a kilogram sack.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Right up my hooter.
I wondered why you were so bushy-tailed today.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, though, my septum feels very clean.
Would do. Will do.
Sparkling fresh.
That's the thing it feels just before it pops out.
It attaches.
It pops out. Giving you more space for ingesting.
Yeah. Exactly,
We call it a nasal upgrade.
Yeah. I'm very much like a one of those Cybermen or whatever now, aren't I? So,
yeah, you will be. Yeah. Good. Well, I mean,
upgraded to the mono nostril. That's the next step in the human evolution.
Tiny eyes, one nostril, big thumbs.
Oh, beautiful. Recipe for greater living.
No gonads.
I'll stop with one last bit because it's. I think some of this got from a Guardian article around sort of some of the other myth stuff. There was a little hoax that some people got drawn in on 2014 with McDonald's giving away Ouija boards.
All right.
That'd be a good one, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it'd be all right.
She's got a little photoshopped Happy Meal with a Ouija board on the back. That's nice. It was just in front of me, a picture, and I just thought I'd share that with the audience, Chris. So.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'm sure they'll enjoy the picture.
Yeah, they couldn't say. Well, no, it's my evocative description.
Oh, of course, there is.
It really brought to mind the. Luckily, I could have attempted to use 1,000 words to bring to it. I didn't. I thought I'd use fewer.
Yes, descriptions.
I believe that the
descriptions also always paint a bigger picture with the less words used.
I'm very much the Hemingway of podcasters.
Yes.
Concise descriptions.
Can you describe the mountain to me? It was big.
Tall.
Big, made of mud. Right. So let's go through our scoring system, Neil. So, spookiness. What do you think?
I think if you've got kids, this is quite. There's a reason why people get paranoid about this every Halloween because I think people will always worry that there's. I mean, I don't know if you remember, there was a whole worry about strange danger back in the 80s, Chris. So I think a lot of that was probably not predicated on anything particularly real. But when people got kids, you get worried. You do. So I think and when they're all out, sort of doing something,
it does sort of feel like the easiest way around that is to not send them out trick or treating.
Oh, what? Lock them in so they can't have fun after a pandemic as well. You heartless brute. So look, it's no. I think
Pandemic.
Yeah. Well, we'll be getting onto the greatest hoax of the new century. If you've got the secret password, listeners, you'll know where to go for that. I think it would be quite spooky thinking that these kind of things could happen to you sort of kids, whether it be drugs or razor blades or everything else. I think it's and the fact that actually, it has happened in certain circumstances where, I'm not quite sure where people would want to do this or would do it to their own kids. I mean, that's especially awful. So, although, I'm going to give it a 6.
6, okie dokie. So I guess the spooky part of this is that some people want to harm children. I think the spookiest bit is the one where the fucking dad did it for money. Again, as is often the case with the sort of, well, there isn't anything supernatural, but often kind of the spooky bit is how fucking callous some humans can be. So it's quite, as long as you check the stuff before your kids eat it, it's quite easily wrecked, kind of, you can guard against it. So
they've already eaten all of it, Chris. Got a mouthful of razor blades. Look, no. Well, my gum's bleeding.
Well, then then the spookiness is the lack of care that people put into raising their own children.
Natural selection will have its...
Right, I'm going to give it a 5, Neil, because that's the number that came into my head. What did you give it, 6?
Yeah, so it's a number between 4 and 6, Chris.
Believability. So it's very believable because it's happened, apparently. But I mean, do we have many confirmed? So we do have some confirmed cases of it happening.
There are some confirmed cases, but you're going back
who killed his
70 years.
Obviously used the urban legend as
in order to cover up. Yeah, to sort of.
But there are.
I mean, I imagine cases, the fact that he covered his kid for $2 million or something. Probably the loss adjusters probably had a few questions. Let's put it like that.
He's definitely going to be a Major League Baseball star. I have very expensive grief tastes. Yeah. So, I mean, it's very believable and it happens. So, but I don't think I'm going to knock a mark off because it's nowhere near as prevalent as the urban myth would suggest. But believability 9-0.
Okay. Probably a bit stronger than me because, as I say, I think it's the fact that it's happening widespread and all the rest of it. So I think there have been some things that have happened. It's and also it's not that it's outlandish to be scared about it happening, and as assuming it's going to happen to your kids or what have you. But yeah, it's not something that's outside the realms of possibility, and there are some verified cases. But I'm going to give it a 7 because I think, as to your point, it's still incredibly, incredibly rare and not really something anyone should be worrying about.
Would you give it 7?
Yeah.
Right. Narrative premise, Neil.
So narrative premise. I don't think there's an awful lot of to this one, to be honest with you, Chris. It's there's.
I can be honest with me, Neil. You have to be honest with yourself.
Well, this is true.
How many times have I said that?
Well, not enough, apparently. I can see why people get a bit paranoid about it, but and why it becomes an enduring urban myth. But I don't think there's really anything to build on in terms of narrative here. So it's scored quite lowly on that basis for me. I'm going to give it 2.
2? Blimey. So yeah, there's not much in the way of narrative, really. It's a difficult one. It doesn't really fit into the category narrative premise.
You could do a short story about the psychopath who killed his own son for insurance money, I suppose. But
I'm thinking
that's not really. That's a fact. That's not really part of the urban legend.
But we approach narrative premise differently. You approach it as, what could you do with this? Whereas I approach it as, what is it?
Yeah.
And it's not much. Sort of. Well, I guess kind of where the spookiness, the urban legend comes from is it's meant to be kind of a joyous occasion of people being generous to their community's children, and it's meant to be a nice community thing, and some horrible person or nutter mucks it up for people or is using it in a malevolent way. So, I mean, yeah, it's. I guess sadly, the moral of this story is never drop your guard, Neil. So I'm going to give it a 3. And Reach, well, I've heard of it, and I'm sure everyone in America's heard of it, and I'm sure a lot of people. Well, I don't know. Some people in the UK would have heard of it. I don't know the rest of the world, but because I don't know how much the rest of the world celebrate. I think it's pretty much.
Yeah, how big Halloween is as a celebration. The rest of it.
Yeah, it's basically kind of. Well, sorry to put it this way, but it's ex-British colonies that celebrate Halloween, where Irish people have gone, especially. So I'd imagine they have it in Australia and New Zealand and Canada and maybe South Africa or something. I don't know.
Well, where you watch American TV, it's probably spread the culture a bit as well, I suspect.
Maybe. I don't know, but certainly not in Latin countries and that kind of stuff. So it's got.
Well, no, they've got wicked things like Day of the Dead, haven't they? Don't they?
Yeah, certainly. Well, that's Mexico. But yeah, so I don't think it's. So it's got very big reach. It's a good urban legend. It's not a global one. It's an Anglo one, but it's big. So I'm going to give it 7. Nil.
Yeah, same for same. 7 feels about right. And I think it's not so much outside of America, but I think Halloween as itself has become a sort of bigger thing in other countries, largely, I think, due to the sort of American kind of celebration, the way it's done. So not so much like the traditional ceremony. So I think it's quite a big one. 7 for me as well.
Well, that gives us an overall score 46. Not too bad.
Higher than I thought it would be.
Was it?
Well, there you go.
There you go.
Well, having scored lowly for a narrative premise, but I think it scored quite highly in the other categories. So.
It did indeed.
There you go.
So, if you have ever encountered anything horrible in your candy, or if you're filled
with self-loathing and feel the desire to spike people, just don't really.
Yeah, just don't do it. But
you're a sociopath who wants to cash in.
But if you're from a part of the world which doesn't traditionally do Halloween, and you have something different that we don't know about, then please get in contact and let us know at urban.legends.podcast@gmail.com. But apart from that, if you do support Halloween, I hope you have a nice day of whatever you do, trick-or-treating or dressing up like a sexy cat or going to a fright night or whatever, eating a pumpkin and
doing a few edibles
and eating pumpkin pie. Beautiful. But yeah, cool. Happy Samhain, everyone, and we will see you same time next week, and goodbye.
Goodbye.